Hello, my name is Ash, a counselor in training. This is my Relatable study podcast for individuals who need help studying for their NCE, CPCE, and other related counseling exams. I'm going to go through many questions from multiple resources and make the answers relatable to both you and me. So get your listening ears on and let's get studying. John Biget's theory has 4 stages. The correct order from stage 1 to stage 4 is A. Formal operations, concrete operations, pre-operations, sensory motor. B. Formal operations, pre-operations, concrete operations, sensory-motor. C. Sensory-motor, pre-operations, concrete operations, formal operations. D. Concrete operations, sensory-motor, pre-operations, and formal operations. I have a fun little story to help you remember. Squirrels pretend cats are friends. So the answer would be sensory-motor, pre-operations, concrete operations, and formal operations. That would be squirrels for sensory-motor, pretend for pre-operations, cat concrete operations, and friends for formal operations. Squirrels pretend cats are friends. What is the role of a social worker? Social workers have many roles and many titles, including child protective social workers, occupation social workers, family service social workers, for example. They help in the community where it is needed, such as families work in child welfare, for example. They can also assist in support groups for unemployed workers, teenagers, mothers, the elderly. There are many things that they can do that can be considered a support group. Their work is very similar to counselors and therapists. They can earn their master's degree in social work with a specialization in psychiatry, which allows them to perform similar duties as a counselor or therapist. This is just a general definition of a social worker. For me, it's hard to distinguish between counselor and social worker apart from where they work. And I know that a lot of social workers work in the foster care system. I have personally worked with a few social workers, so it is hard to definitively draw the line. But as I grow and learn, and as you grow and learn, we can find that distinction together. During a counseling session, a client frequently uses the statements, "No one ever listens to me," and "I always fail." The counselor, aka us, recognizes these statements as indicative or polarized thinking. Which of the following interventions is most appropriate for a client exhibiting polarized thinking? A. Encourage the client to continue expressing their feelings without challenging their thoughts. B. Using cognitive behavioral techniques to challenge and reframe these absolute thoughts. C. Focus solely on the past experiences that have contributed to these thought patterns. Or D. Recommend the client to avoid situations that trigger those thoughts. So the answer is B. Use cognitive behavioral techniques to challenge and reframe these absolute thoughts. For the client, it is going to be a difficult process to work on changing their thoughts, but through CBT, they are able to gradually change with practice. Let's use the "I always fail" statement. Changing the "I always fail" to "I am learning" uses "I always" to "I am," helps the process in their mind and their neurons in their brain to change the thought process to "I am learning" instead of "I am failing." And then repeating "I am learning, I am learning, I am learning" over and and over again helps the client challenge their statement of "I always fail" and reframe that absolute thought into something more positive. CBT helps challenge and reframe thoughts that the client may have that negatively affects them and changes them into a positive thought. What is included in the HIPAA security rule? The security rule covers any electronic health information for clients and patients and must be secured and protected against any hazards or threats and is in compliance with standards that have already been established. For example, I have some private documents on my computer about my workplace. I have to keep my documents secured from any viruses, hackers, or potential threats that may see those documents because they're mine and I have to protect them because there may be information about my health or any of my children's health and I don't want anybody seeing those. Or it may have information about my clients and I want to protect that. That is an example of the security rule under HIPAA. Some behavioral scientists have been critical of the Swiss children psychologist Jean Piaget and his development research in as much as A. He utilizes the t-test too frequently, he failed to check for type 1 or alpha errors, he worked primarily with minority children, or his findings were derived from observing his own children. Piaget's developmental research was from observing his own children. There are many tests today that we can do to see where our children are developmentally. One of these tests is the density test with water to see where children are developmentally. So you have a tall glass of water and a small glass of water, and they are filled with the exact same amount of water. And you ask the child which one has more water, and they will tell you which one has more water, but depending on what they observe. There are more tests like this, and they are on YouTube for you to view at any point. I have seen these videos a lot in my undergrad as well as my graduate schooling, and it's always fun to watch and observe and see where children are developmentally. Maybe even one day I'll do that with my own children. You could even do it with your children if you have any. But in today's age, we do have to do it ethically and make sure that nobody is harmed, because now we have rules and standards to help keep people safe from all kinds of experiments and observations, because we want to observe in a safe manner. And that is all our 5 questions for this episode. That's all for now. Thanks for listening. Keep calm and study on.